Warm greetings to all. Now, myself, I am Raghavendran, Associate Professor cum HOD in Medical Surgical Department, Faculty of Nursing, Rama University. Now, I am going to take a class on fracture. Okay, what in the fracture we are going to see definition, then types of fracture, then clinical manifestations of the fracture, fracture healing process. After the fracture healing process, we have to see complications, diagnostic evaluation, and then the management. In the management, we are going to see with the fracture reduction and fracture immobilization. So these are the things we are going to see now in the fracture, right? So what does mean by fracture? Fracture is a common condition which is happening among all the people. Okay, so what does mean by fracture? Definition of the fracture is a disruption in the continuity of a bone. Consider this is a bone, this is a full bone. Okay, so what happens during that? Due to any impact or due to any trauma, what happens? The bone fragment, after this is a continuation, it will be discontinued. The discontinuation or disruption in the continuity of the bone, which we are telling it as a fracture. Okay, then I think you are clear with your fracture definition. Next is with types. What are the types of fracture? First, we are classifying the fracture into types, and then communication or non-communication with the external environment, and the third one is whether it is a stable fracture or unstable fracture. These are the most commonly we are classifying the fracture. First, according to the types, there are 11 types in your fracture. What are they? First one is called as comminuted fracture, second one is displaced, third is green stick, fourth one is impact, and the fifth one is intra-articular, longitudinal fracture, oblique fracture, pathological fracture, spiral fracture, stress fracture, and transverse fracture. Okay. Now we will discuss with each and every types of fracture. First one is comminuted. Even you can easily remember with this because it is alphabetical. C for comminuted, D for displaced, G for green stick. So it is in the alphabetical order which you can easily remember. Right. Now we will discuss about the types of fracture. First one is called as comminuted fracture. What does mean by comminuted? Comminuted means making into small fragments. That means after the impact, after the bone is broken, the bone will be in a small pieces like this. If this is a bone and bone will be into small pieces, then it is called a maybe 2 or 3 pieces. Consider 2 or 3 pieces is there. More than two or three fragments, then we are telling it as a comminuted fracture. Right. Second one is displaced fracture. What does mean by displacement? The word displaced means it is not in the position. So if this is a bone, after the fracture, one bone fragment is displaced to the other side, then we are telling it as a displaced fracture because the bone fragment is not in that original place and it was shifted to the other bone's fragment, that is overriding of the bone. So this is called as displaced fracture, like this. After the fracture it will be like this. Okay, so this is second type which is called as displaced fracture. Third one is called as green stick. What does mean by green stick? You know that in a tree you can see there is a green color stick. If you are broken it, what will happen? The bone will be, the stick will be broken in one side and another side will be fixed. So this type of fracture is called as green stick fracture. Here the bone fragment, one side will be broken, another side will be fixed. Then it is called as green stick fracture, which is usually seen among the childrens. Next one is called as impacted fracture. What does mean by impact? With a greater impact due to some heavy accidents or anything, what happens? The bone is divides into 2 or more than 3 and it is totally misplaced like this, and the bone fragments will be 2 or 3, more than 3. Okay, so this is called as impacted fracture. And then intra-articular fracture, that is the fracture is going into the articular region of the bone, then it is called as intra-articular fracture. Then longitudinal. What does mean by longitudinal? It is along the shaft of the bone. The fracture is occurred along the shaft of the bone, then it is called as longitudinal in this direction. Then it is called as longitudinal fracture. Again oblique fracture, that means fracture occurred in a oblique region. Obliques like this. the fracture is occurred in this direction, then it is called as oblique. Then spiral fracture, we will discuss with spiral. That means the fracture occurred in a spiral manner. In this manner, the fracture is occurred in the spiral manner due to the twisting of the bone. Then it is called as spiral fracture. Then stress fracture, that is continuous stress applying in a particular bone due to the continuous stress. Usually with the athletics, it happens with the athletics. So due to this continuous continuous stress in that bone, it leads to the fracture. Then it is called a stress fracture. Transverse fracture, that means the fracture which occurs in the transverse of the straight line. As a straight line, it will occur. So this is called as transverse fracture. Finally, we will come to the pathologic fracture. The name pathologic itself tells that it is due to the disease condition. The patient is compiled with maybe osteomyelitis or osteoporosis. Due to that disease, the bone fragment will be very thin and easily broken. Then we are telling it as a pathological fracture. Okay, I think you can clear with the types. So the second classification is whether it is a communicable or non-communicable. What is meant by communicable or non-communicable to the environment? Communicable means easily it is communicating with the environment, external environment. That means after the fracture, even the muscles and the skin is destroyed, is teared, and the bone fragment is coming out. Then it is called as communicable with the external environment. If the bone is broken and skin is intact and muscles intact, only the bone is broken, then it is called as non-communicable with the external environment. Clear? So up to now we have discussed with the definition, types, clinical manifestations. I think you are clear. Now we are going to deal with clinical manifestations. What are the clinical manifestations after the fracture? So you know that clinical manifestation means signs and symptoms. So what we are having the patients is having after the fracture, first and foremost is patient will have severe level of pain because of the tissue injury and the bone breakage. Patient will have severe level of pain, and patient will have decreased function. That part cannot able to have a proper function. So decreased function, then edema formation, muscle spasm, deformity, everything will be present. Rather than that, most important is patient will have crepitus sound. What does mean by crepitus? Due to the movement, small movement is happening, the two bones will start to scratch together, which will create a sound which is called as crepitus. Okay, so that is another most classical clinical manifestation for the patients with fracture. Right. Next is with the healing process. What is healing process? Why we are dealing with healing process here? Because we never treat the patient for the fracture. Only the fracture is healing on its own. It is a natural healing. So we need to know about the healing process of the bone here. So here healing process is having six major six things. One is called as fracture hematoma, 6 stages. One is called as fracture hematoma. Second one is called as granulation tissue. Third is called as callus formation. Fourth one is ossification. Fifth is consolidation, and sixth is remodeling. So what is happening in these things? After the fracture hematoma, which will start up to 72 hours. Okay. So what happens in this 72 hours during the fracture? After the fracture, in a particular area, the blood will come and stay back due to the disruption of this, due to the disruption of the veins and everything. The blood will come and mingle here, so which will form as a hematoma, which is called as fracture hematoma. Right. Second one is granulation tissue. In this time, what happens? This is after 72 hours. What happens? The granulation tissue starts to happen. What does it mean by that? Slowly all the WBCs in your blood system, all your immune system will come and attack here, and it will kill all the bacteria, everything. It will starts to kill. Okay, so this is called as granulation tissue. This is the second stage. Third stage is callus formation. In this stage, what happens? There are 3 cells in your body. One is called as osteocytes, osteoblast, and osteoclast. Osteocytes, osteoblast and osteoclast. Okay, so what these cells are doing here, this osteocytes and osteoclasts will take the calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, like all these things, all these minerals will be collected from the blood and it will be placed over in this area, in the hematoma area. This is the work done by your osteocytes and osteoclast. Okay, so what this is called as callus formation. After bringing all these things, all this calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, all these minerals into the area, slowly what happens, this ossification starts. That minerals will be converted into the bone cells and it will be starts to make as a bone over in this area. This is called as ossification. Next is called as consolidation. The consolidation means hardening. So after everything is placed in a proper position, now what the cells is doing, osteocytes is doing is, it will combine everything and it will become as a hard material. So this material will become as a hard and it is has like a bone, normal bone, it will be become as a hard. This is called as consolidation. These things will happen within merely 4 months. It will take merely 4 months. After the consolidation, after the process of ossification only, we are asking the patients to start to move. Okay, before that if the patient starts to move, again there will be a disruption and it will lead to the complication. After this consolidation, what happens, after the consolidation, the bone fragment is formed. Now the bone fragment will be like this. Here there is a bone will be formed and extra bone will be there. Okay, so what is the final, this osteoblast will play a major role in remodeling. That is, remodeling means, that means it will placed into a normal bone and the excess of this minerals will be go back again to, it will be dispersed this excess of cells and it will be placed in the normal places or it will be in the blood. Okay, this process is called as remodeling. Right. Next, now we are going to deal with the complications. What are the complications after the fracture? Why I am talking with complication before the diagnostic evaluation? Because complications occurs before the diagnostic evaluation. Once we are finding out the diagnostic evaluation, there is no need of complications. That's why we are discussing the complications prior, after the clinical manifestations usually. Complications, what are the things? First and foremost is infection. You know that because of fracture, due to the skin is teared and muscles is teared, it is easy for the microorganisms is enter into the bone and it will create the infection. Okay. Next one is called as fat embolism syndrome. What does mean by fat embolism syndrome? Usually you know that what does mean by embolism? Embolism means something is moving in the blood. Here what is moving? The fat is moving. So we are telling it as a fat embolism. Due to that fat embolism, your patient is getting more symptoms, which is called as syndrome, group of symptoms. So which is called as fat embolism syndrome. What happens after the fracture? Due to some disalignment in the fracture, some of the fat molecules which is present in the bone marrow will come out and it will goes into the blood, okay, into the circulatory system. After it enters into the circulatory system, it will go around all the system and sometimes it gets lodges in the respiratory system or in the brain and it will create more complications. That is called as fat embolism syndrome. Then the third one is compartment syndrome. Again, what does mean by compartment syndrome? Again, it is a group of symptoms. What does mean by compartment? Already you know that your body is made up of a compartment. That means each skeletal muscle is comprised of fascicles and each fascicles is having some muscle fibers. So muscle fibers, group of muscle fibers will called as a fascicle and group of fascicles is called as one skeletal muscle. So what happens here? Each will be tightly packed. Okay, here due to the fracture, due to the disruption, there may be a blood will come in that. So what happens? There will be an increase in the pressure of the compartment, which may leads to the compartment syndrome. That means increased in a pressure increases in the compartment. So it is called as compartmental syndrome. So patient is having neurological deficit may occur for the patient in the distal area of the fracture. So it is very much clearly we need to understand what is mean by compartment syndrome. And finally, venous thrombosis, that is thrombosis which is present in the vein. You know what is mean by thrombosis. Thrombosis is a blood clot. So clotting of blood inside the vein which may leads to thrombosis, so which is present in the deep veins which may leads to the complications. So these are the complications of fracture. Next, with the diagnostic evaluation, you know very well it is most common. Diagnostic evaluation is a very easily we can find out. Patient will have with the history of proper collecting history and the proper physical examination, you can easily find out. Rather than that, X-ray. The X-ray is clinically it is evident that it will clearly tells where is the fracture, how is the fracture and anything. If still you want more, then they can go ahead with the MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. So these are the diagnostic evaluations. Right. Next, we are going to deal with the management. So in the management, three things are there. First, we need to deal with the emergency management. That means at the site, fracture site, at the patient got injured, at the community area, what you are going to do as a management is called as emergency management. First, in the emergency management, you need to check whether the patient is having any injuries, any life-threatening injuries is there or not. And then you need to check with the ABC, airway, breathing and circulation. Okay. After these checking of the airway, breathing and circulation, then you need to come to the fracture site. In the fracture site, first you need to splint the fracture site in the distal and the proximal. Both the joints should be splintered first, because it will avoid the unnecessary moving of the fracture bone. So you need to splint it first. After that, you should check the neurovascular status of the patients. That means neurovascular status of the part. How you will check? With the help of 6 P's. What are the 6 P's of neurovascular status? The first one is called as paresthesia. Second one is pain, which is distal to the injured site. In the distal to the injured site, whether the patient is feeling pain or not. Next one is pressure. Whether there is an increased pressure in the distal to the injury, you need to check. And then pallor. Fourth P is called as pallor or coolness. Whether the distal to the injury, the part is whether pallor or coolness is present or not. And then paralysis, pulselessness, and finally, these are the 6 P's you need to assess for the neurovascular status. Neurovascular, that means due to the fracture, what happens? Sometimes nerves or the blood vessels may be disturbed. Due to that, the sensation or a motor response or by the nerve or blood supply through the blood vessel may be decreased. So you need to check the neurovascular status. Right. After the checking the neurovascular status of the patient, you need, if possible, if the patient is comfortable somewhat, then you can elevate the limb to reduce the edema formation. Okay. And you should not do that. You need to remember that you should not do that. You should not, if the any protruding bone is outside, never make it right. Okay. If it is an open injury, if possible, cover the open injury with a proper sterile gauze or any clean cloth is available, then you can cover it. Otherwise, please don't do anything, nothing should be done. Okay. So these are the emergency management, and shift the patient as soon as possible to the hospital. These are the emergency management. Right. In the management, that means after coming to the hospital, what they will do, already I told you there is no separate treatment for fracture, because the fracture should be healed naturally. Okay, we are only doing 2 things. One is fracture reduction, another one is fracture immobilization. What does mean by fracture reduction? That means you are reducing the fracture. Consider if this is a proper bone and due to the fracture the bone is displaced. Again, in the reduction, what we are doing is we are trying and making the bone into a mere normal position, not the normal, mere normal position. If we are keeping the bone like this in a mere normal position, automatically due to the healing process, the bone will be in a normal. Okay. So this is called as fracture reduction. How we are doing the fracture reduction? By 2 methods. One is called as closed reduction, another one is open reduction. In the closed reduction, without opening, without doing the surgery, by simple manipulations, they will align the bone in a proper position. Then it is called as closed reduction. Open reduction, already very well know that after cutting the skin and muscles, by doing the surgery with the help of nails or with the help of screws and plates, like how the carpenter is doing the same thing, screws and with the help of screws and plates, they will fix the bone into a mere normal position. Okay, so this is called as fracture reduction. After reduction, they need to maintain the bone, so there should be no mobilization. So for that we are doing fracture immobilization. What is fracture immobilization? With the help of two things, maybe with the help of traction or maybe with the help of cast. So cast means with the help of plaster of Paris, they will put the plaster of Paris over the fractured area and it will be immobilized for further 2 or 4 months up to the ossification of the bone. They will make the plaster of Paris. So what happens? The plaster of Paris will fix it, so the bone will not move, so the fracture will be easily healed. Same thing with the traction. Again, traction is a pulling force, where by making the pulling force of the bone, we are making the bone into a proper alignment. If the bone is like this, by the pulling force, we are making the bone into a proper alignment, and immobilization we are doing. So in the traction, there are two types of traction. One is called a skin traction, another one is skeletal traction. So these are the two types. Finally, drug therapy. So we are giving drugs for the other, not to healing the bones. So what are the drug therapies we are providing to these patients? First and foremost is antibiotics to reduce the infection, and then muscle relaxants and analgesics for the pain. If the patient will have a severe level of pain, then we are giving with the muscle relaxants and analgesics, and foremost is injection TT to prevent the tetanus toxoid. Right, this is the management of the patients with fracture. Right, so up to now we have discussed about the fracture, about the definition, types and clinical manifestations, fracture healing process. In the fracture healing process there are 6 steps, and complications we have seen, there are 4 complications, and diagnostic evaluation. Finally, with the management, emergency management, fracture reduction and fracture immobilization, and with the drug therapy. So we have discussed everything. I think you are very much clear about that. So thank you.